Hi everyone and welcome along to another Sonic Academy tutorial with me, Chris Agnelli. Today I'm joined by Phil Johnson.
Hello everyone.
What we're going to talk about today, Phil, is this is a sort of companion to a new sample pack that has been created by Sonic Academy.
Series of sample packs?
New series of sample packs that has been created by Sonic Academy entitled
Ultimate Drums.
And the concept behind Ultimate Drums, we've been building these packs in the background for the last
6 or 8 months.
6 or 8 months, and we've been reverse engineering the very best tracks in 4 different genres.
Yeah, so the idea was, well, it's come from a couple of places, but one of them that sort of sparked me off really was a forum post, and a guy goes, where are the samples that the professionals use? And I was like, where are the samples the professionals use? And, we've all got Vengeance, we've all got those sounds, and I think they were done quite a while ago, so maybe they're not as up to date, but sort of got me thinking, there needs to be a sample pack that is the sounds on the records, you don't have to necessarily do too much layering and stuff. I mean, you still need a bit of processing here and there to sort of get your drums to fit, but a pack that has all the sounds that you're hearing in the songs right now, in all the different genres.
I think you're like me. I think that I over the years have been so disappointed with a lot of sample packs that you would get 2 or 3, 4 or 5 loops or drum hits out of maybe 1,000 samples, and it's been a bit sort of so we really stepped up to the plate and tried to create an all-encompassing sort of pack that's your one-stop shop in that genre.
Yeah, I mean, it's silly things that it took me ages to find, or I couldn't find at all in sample packs recently. Is like the click on the start of a main room house kick that Tommy Trash or Hardwell are using. There was just no packs really out there with it, so we sort of went and created that, like dubstep kicks and snares, the Skrillex kicks and snares. There was some packs that were pretty close, but nothing where you could just throw in a kick and a snare, and that's the sounds. And then we've also sort of done a bunch of loops. One thing we didn't do was do full rhythm loops. It's the packs are sort of based on individual parts. We have sort of not incidental loops, but add-on loops, which would be hi-hats and rides and different stuff like that, and percussion. So we haven't gone for the full-on loops because I think you still need to create them with kicks and snares.
I think the one thing I never used in packs was full-on loops because I always wanted to customize my own kicks, my own snare.
Exactly.
So we've got percussions, like lots of tom sort of things. We've got lots of hat loops that you add into your kick and snare. I think what we'll do over the next course of the next 4 or 5 videos is start to dig a little deeper into the essential elements of drum programming. So
we're going to program a few different beats up in the different genres. So we've got 4 genres basically. We've got dubstep, main room house, progressive, and trance. By no means are they the only genres you're going to be able to create with these sounds. They're like, for example, dubstep covers drum and bass, the sort of Skrillexy bassy sound. There's a lot of sort of big bass, big snare type stuff in that. Main room house you could use for minimal techno, absolutely anything really. It's just fat kicks,
the trance claps. The trance is from Shanta's to the softer end of more sort of, I don't know, chicane type.
Yeah, and then progressive then bridges that gap between main room house probably and trance, whereas there's sort of a few more live elements and sort of different bits. So between these 4 packs, no matter what genre of music you want to be making, there should be drum samples in here for you. So should we crack on? We'll start with what do we start with? Progressive.
Yep.
And what we're going to do is just sort of we're not going to worry too much about the music, so I'll fire something up pretty quickly with the music, and then we'll just sort of delve into the drums.
I think what I would like you to show us, Phil, is just the essential elements of programming, especially progressive. It's drum programming is very intricate, isn't it?
It can be, or it can't be simple. It very much depends on the songs. One of the sort of, I suppose, elements of it that we did focus on were those tight hits, those sort of like incidental hits that are used in some parts of the genre. And then we also focused on some of the sort of more live sounding, almost deep house type drums as well. So there's a good mix, and hopefully we'll be able to show you a few variations on some different sounds. So one other thing is we have kits. So we built, basically after we had all the sort of drum sounds, we basically built kits for all the different
DAWs.
all the different DAWs. We've got one for Cube, or we've got one for Logic and one for Ableton. I'll just throw this prog kit in here. Make a MIDI track to it. Oh, let me drag it in. There we go. And we're not going to actually use this today. I think this is more something if you're just wanting something quick. And are all these sounds missing? Let's just turn it off. Yeah, so we've got some kits, and they'll just sort of play right across the keyboard. And roughly speaking, we've kept the note arrangement the same.
Yeah, trying to keep the sort of GM.
Yeah, so it's all laid out like a sort of GM specification. So kicks are in the same place, hi-hats are in the same place. So you should theoretically be able to sort of switch between like the dubstep kit, the drum and bass kit. The more incidental sounds won't work, but the basic kicks, snares, the first 2 octaves basically of the kit should be roughly similar. So I'll bring up a keyboard just so you can see where everything's positioned actually on the. So we start at the bottom normally with a bunch of kicks, and then all the kicks are on the white keys until you get up to C1. And if you wonder what that noise is in the background, I think I've got Anna hooked up as well, or so we'll just unmute that. I thought that was some sort of a car going past or something.
I was wondering,
some sort of
Tron
sci-fi truck. So yeah, so kicks all on the white keys up to C1, and then this is when it starts into general MIDI. So you've got kick, should be a rim shot, but it's another clap because you need more claps. Snare, another clap, and your sort of main snares, and then your toms, and then hi-hats. So these sort of follow the general convention of general MIDI, so you should be able to sort of mess about with them. And then what we're going to do, I'll just delete this, and we'll actually load some sounds in just so we can actually run through all the sounds that are available and sort of give you a better example of what's there. So load of drum racks in.
While you're doing that, I'll go through some of the areas that I think people might have problems with. Hat programming, quite kind of difficult, isn't it?
Hat programming. Yeah, I mean, I don't find it a problem. You find it more of a problem than I do. I
find a lot of things a problem.
I know I like sort of just playing with the beats and sort of intricacies of things and multiple layers of. I think multiple layers of hi-hats and I suppose groove is the
big thing.
So I'll throw a bunch of kicks in here. Oh, don't want to do that. And I think I'll go for like a quite sort of Anjuna beatsy, like intricate
paddy,
kits. Some nice pads and stuff in there. And then we'll maybe do a live one after and sort of. So we're looking for sort of a nice.
So let's take it through. Now, what are you looking? You're listening to these kicks, and what are you thinking? Deep, low, subby.
It's hard to. I think what you look for when you're listening to kicks is very much reflected from what tracks you've been listening to. If you've been listening to a load of Anjuna deep, you'll be wanting a nice sort of quite a light sub kick, but with a nice sort of subtle click on the front.
It's strange to hear people describe kicks. I would describe that as nice and round. It's a round sort of kick. It's like 15. Yeah, it's nice. 18's lovely in my ears.
Yeah, you like that? I'm not so fond of the chirpiness of it, but for this
18?
Oh, 18, yeah, 18's nice. So that's a good, I would say that's a good solid all round prog kick.
And to me that'll just weight your track down, just keep it, that's your low end.
And they're sort of veering slightly into sort of main room house with those clicks on the start. So I'll fire that in, because again you can use kicks for toms as well,
right?
To sort of put in between, or maybe like a bass on it, various. So I'll try that actually with these ones. So just double click to make a wee part, and we're going to be just looping around a 4-bar. So I'll try that one you liked. And when you've just sort of thrown stuff into drum racks, you have sort of everything is set with a short release. So the length of your actual notes will make an impact on how long they last. You have an option to change that, so you can go in and change your release.
Yeah, because we purposely kept a lot of the lower kicks long. So
Yeah.
people had the option to have a nice subby one or a short.
Yeah, so I think all the kicks are, with the exception of maybe the dubstep ones, because I was quite specific about the length of those. I think a lot of the main room house and the progressive and probably the trance ones, we made the booms
kind of long.
We made them long, so then you can play with that yourself.
Yeah.
The sort of general, and I don't want to over specify this because I think there can be a range, but generally speaking, I like 2 beats for a kick.
Right.
I think because you are expecting your bass line to fill in these gaps.
Right.
So if you, but that, I mean, that's quite a genre specific thing.
It is,
Main room house, the kicks are almost 4 beats long because they're sort of taking over the whole thing, and the bass lines,
techno, like sort of the deeper techno stuff,
and techno as well. But yeah, I would say trance, dubstep, and probably prog. Maybe.
Yeah.
I think you're looking at sort of 2 beats for your kick, so you've got that room. Dead Mouse, would use
absolutely.
I think what was it, 16,000 samples.
We worked it out.
Yeah.
That's how deep we went into this. We were totally reverse engineered, looking at the cycles of the samples and stuff through various different other programs. So you got your kick in.
Yeah, and then sometimes it depends what sort of track, but you could put an offbeat sort of.
And that instantly says deep to me.
Yeah.
You know, we've got that.
And so a lot of the times when you throw into drum racks, the velocities are down. So you can turn the velocities up. And then if you right click and copy value to siblings, it'll copy them to all the other sounds in your drum rack. And that just means you can then go in and you've got more control over. One of the other cool things I like about drum racks, or when I'm programming, I tend to do it a lot more, and probably even more so since I've been really focused on like the front of sounds, is using the attack to just sort of either ease on or ease off some of the sort of attack of a sound. Am I on the right one? Nope. So you can hear there, we can sort of adjust that sort of the attackiness of the attack using our control.
So less click, we're just slightly moving. And again, that's an element of prog where it becomes subtle.
Yeah. And we almost want to use this to just underpin a bass rhythm. You know, so we're going to add a probably more middly sort of bass that's maybe following parts of some of the rhythm and then maybe sort of veering off on other elements of it. So I'm going to just play in some real basic chords here just to sort of give us some sort of atmosphere in the background. From the Anna 1.5. Looking good.
Sounding good.
I think I went over there a wee bit on the meters, so let's bring that down.
Just watch the meter police aren't out.
Yeah, the meter police on YouTube will be giving us a call later.
I can't believe you're 2 dB over.
I just made that a really weird length for me. It's an even weirder length now. What's happened? Okay.
You're going avant-garde 68 time?
Yeah, I'll just bring this back to 1-1 so I know where I am.
So
some chords in C minor there.
I think then, yeah, again, you know,
Hello.
that pad lends itself to progressive. It's spacey, it's deep, it's sort of varied. So we're starting to build up layers of a sound palette that's all quite similar.
Yeah, and then sort of that's, you know, just even having something as simple as a pad will then sort of inform your choice of your next sound.
Yeah.
You want a big smashy clap, or do you want something a bit more subtle, you know? What are you going to sort of use for the next elements?
Do you, a thing I sometimes do is as I program in the clap and then flick through sounds to sort of get me in the area and go, oh, kind of like that.
Yeah, so I mean, what you can do really simply with drum racks is just throw in a clap, stick it in.
And then
then
again, I really like that.
What we can do, well, turn the velocity up as well to give it a bit more volume. We can expand our mixer section out and sort of edit it, and then we can go in and use this button. This is the hot swap key for drum racks, and you just click it, and then you can sort of double click and it'll keep your kit in play. I think it's called in Logic, is it?
If you have Ultra Beat, you go to load sample,
Yeah.
and there, when it comes up the load page, there's a, you know, playback,
Play in kit
play
or
play
play in
play
kit.
voice in kit, and that'll, so you can flick through.
I love those wee claps.
Really tight.
Yeah. So I'll go through some other claps so you can sort of hear some variations, and it's nice. So something a bit different.
Yeah. I think so. What we try to get some of the creators to do is to try and also look at the genre differently as well, to try and introduce some of the elements.
Some nice claps there. So yes, lots of nice tight claps. So what we can do is maybe go and do our thing, and we'll double up. We'll add another clap on. I like that we use like a wee reverby one there. So. Yeah, I like that 10 for some reason.
Okay.
Again, you can layer up claps. You know, there's no reason why you shouldn't get, you know, a few together, and then we can just copy these. I don't want to copy that onto a kick. That's not going to work. And then you can do a bit of panning, you know.
What I would do with that reverb clap is have the first one short, the second one long.
Good call. So that's what's that, 10, is it?
Good call. 12. No.
No, what is that? Is that wrong sample?
No. There you go.
Yeah. Yeah, so we can make one short and one long. It's the newly imported one don't have the velocity on, so you have to go back and do your copy value to siblings every time you.
And have you done some panning
Hold
there?
on, no, I actually did the wrong thing there. Copied 0 value to siblings.
So there's what, 5 sounds in about 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And already to me we've got the basis of you know, a really interesting drum track.
Yeah, so I think the kicks and the claps sort of set a purpose for the rest of it in terms of just the sounds, and then I think what you'd be looking for after that is rhythmical content. So you're looking something to add the groove element.
When you're talking about sounds, you probably wouldn't now go and look at a big distorted, overdriven hat.
No,
it just wouldn't sit with this kit. So
exactly, yeah. So and that's, I suppose, again, it all plays into each other. Trying to create a set of sounds from your pads to your bass to your drums that all come from the same emotional place, I would say. You know, sort of they could all fit in the same track, I guess. So the next element would be percussion, and what I tend to do with percussion is I want to put it in a different drum rack, maybe.
Right. Why? For what reason?
Maybe just to compress it differently, or if I wanted to crush the kick and the snare a bit more, and then maybe you drop the kick out. You don't want the compression bring in all your percussion
out at that point.
Yeah. So I would tend to maybe it makes things a wee bit easier side chaining as well, because you can just throw.
Do you find does that cause problems with you hear people talking about the mix gel, how gelling the drums together? Does that cause any issues?
But then I'll group them after that then.
Right. So you always group your drums towards the end then?
Depends. Okay.
Depends on if they need to be.
Yeah, if they need to be, yeah. I mean, I sometimes like an overall compressor on everything, just to, I think it sort of helps to gel, I suppose would be the best word.
And I think, Phil, this is probably your forte. This area is now bringing in hit elements and sort of bongos and.
Yeah, I just love rhythmical.
Yeah,
I love to add that sort of element of groove into a track, So we'll go through and I'll show you some of. Genuinely though, the first thing that I would probably start off with is loops. I'd go through loops and what I'd sort of do is pick out. I'll see what we've got here. So we've got our loops. We haven't really talked about the formats. All the loops are in Apple Loops, Rex, and AIFF, so they should fit right into pretty much any DAW.
Yeah.
Rex files work well in Cubase, Apple Loops in Logic, and
Rex files you can play them natively in Ableton.
Yeah, you can play them in Ableton, or but I don't know. I think for Ableton, AIFs is probably better. So again, we'll just fire through a few. See, I kind of like these sort of. See, I would fire something like that in. And we can do more to that. It's maybe a bit fuller than we sort of thought. We were trying to get more of an intricate thing, and what we can do is then go in with our transients on Ableton.
Start
so you can actually tighten it down a bit.
And again, that's very contemporary prog. Is that very tight hits?
And again, if we're looking for that sort of real tight sound, we can go and maybe I would cut out some of the lows and just have it more sort of up top. Maybe take a bit of the top off as well.
So you're using the very upper mids range there? Right.
And it's just a background. It's that background rhythm. You don't want it necessarily. For a different track, you would just throw that loop in and it would work if you were wanting something a bit more driving. And maybe later on in the track, it gives you an option then to open things out to make it a bit more driving. But
for our sort of intro, it's there. It's tiny.
Yeah.
But it's now creating the shuffle, isn't it?
Yeah, we've got that nice shuffle, and I would probably fire a reverb in there. So generally speaking, when I'm doing reverb, I'll have a big reverb and a wee reverb for drums and stuff like that.
And when you say is it a room you would use or reflections?
Well, I don't think Ableton's reverb even goes that far as to give you those sort of options. I think they're all sort of rooms. So turn everything up full. Probably don't need so much reflection. Put it on high quality. Then you can bring your room size down. Yeah,
so you're looking for a kind of a small room space, aren't you? You're
just something to add that bit of depth in the background. It's not something.
And when you're mixing drums, when you're adding reverb to drums, it pushes it to the background. It's not as forward. How do you explain that? It's not in the front of the mix. It's sort of, it becomes distant.
Yeah, it becomes layered back in the mix. Yeah.
So I mean, just to recap, there is one pad. There's 2 kicks, 3 claps, and 1 loop.
Yeah.
And you know, it sounds so full. And I think that's if one thing that I can sort of say to people is less is more. You know.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Sometimes it is. Sometimes I think some elements or some types of genres would lead itself more.
Well, if you're doing
more
Chantage trance, it's less is definitely, you know, it's more is more there. You know, it's layer and layer. But yeah, I just want to trying to get across. It's how.
It's really easy when you've got Ultimate Drums.
It is really easy, but it's also, you know, what you've done there is manipulated, edited each sound slightly, and just, you know, made it, customized it to make it your own. You know, it's too easy just to bring a kick in and a loop, and that becomes your base of your track. This is much more interesting.
Yeah, totally. And then the next step would be, I would maybe look for. I'm thinking now in my head, you know. Even though I haven't actually built any of the track, I'm thinking now I want to build up my different sections. So I'm looking for maybe when the bass comes in and we're building it up, maybe some shuffle hi-hats and stuff to just sort of bring the track forward.
Yeah, just as a pickup.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people tend to produce quite linearly.
That's easy for you to say. Linearly. Yes, okay.
Where, you know, we start off with your kick and then you go along and then you put your bass line in and sort of almost arrange the track out as you're going along. Where I sort of kind of know the parts of I need to make in my head, and I want to have them all pretty much sorted at the start, so then I can arrange.
So you almost start with your busiest section and then arrange out. Where I'd be the linearly person, where I would start with the kick and the pads, and I have to create a vibe first, and then I'll go right. And now I know what the bass wants to do, and I now know what the hats want to do.
Yeah, I tend to like to have my groove sounding like it's, you know, almost a finished article. Like, so we'll go back into our loops and let's see if we've got some hi-hats shuffles. Have we got a separate folder for new? Yeah, so we'll just go through. I'm sure we've got some. Some more sort of like intricate glitchy type stuff. I'm going to just throw that in there because I think it could take a bit out of it.
Just the first bit?
Yeah. Oh, there's a wee bit of a shaker there. Nice bit there. I'll throw that in as a potential for later on. There's a nice live sort of vibe there. And basically what I'm just going to do is throw in different options and then we can go back and sort of something about that look good. I like that as well. Okay, so we've enough there to sort of work with. So let me just go through and see what I've got. So that's maybe a bit too heavy. Well, and then I always want to sort of try it with different transient settings. I'll try it with our
the first half bar, that might be interesting.
Yeah. And I think it's about creating options for yourself. So, you know, we've gone into that. It might not be exactly what we're after, but we sort of tweak it to a point where we think, yeah, you know, there's something there, and we leave it, and then we can go on to the sort of the next one.
And then go back and compare. And that changes the whole vibe. That becomes much more up and more
if we like
powerful.
And again, you could probably go in and, you know, bring that.
That's nice. That's nice.
You know, so you're almost keeping a bit of that live element. You know, it's got a bit of groove in it, but it's, you know, you're sort of. And then one thing I like to do, so say you've got 2 loops like that, you can do a bit of panning then, and then you're sort of creating that sort of stereo width for yourself.
Yeah.
Now you've got, you know, we haven't strayed necessarily away from our wanting to keep it tight and that sort of more intricate sort of sound, but we've used 2 loops that did not sound like that in the first place.
They're quite full-on loops. I think I love that about music making, is that you unsolo something and you hear it in context, like, whoa.
Yeah, you get the real vibe for it. And again, you know, you could do things like we could grip these 2. Grip these together. Bit of EQ on them. Again, just I want to sort of bring them, make them maybe a bit softer. They've still got their sort of original element of being sort of live-ish sort of sound. So we turn this on high Q mode, add a bit of sort of air to them. Maybe take out some
of the lows.
We've just got sort of these nice, real tight, crisp hi-hats.
So we're starting to get very intricate here, you know.
Yeah. And for prog, I normally wouldn't put reverb on hi-hats, but for this more intricate prog, I would maybe just add
that's
just a touch of sort of something.
And I can instantly hear then, like the pickup of the open hat coming in.
Yeah.
And immediately it just becomes, you know, our next element. So what about the other lips we brought in? How
yeah, let's have a listen to those.
Work that one in.
Yeah, so we'll as you were saying, we could use the hi-hat, but so what I could do would just be go into volume automation. You know, again, you're taking quite a full loop, and you're using a couple of elements, and we could bring in
some shuffly extra bits.
Yeah.
And it's experimenting, isn't it? It's just bringing things in and out.
Let's have a listen to it all. See what else we've got.
Again, it's quite full on, but there's a high sort of...
Yeah, we're going to shuffle there for a tambourine.
Yeah.
So I'll grab the EQ that is stuck on my other group here, fire it on this. Maybe a bit too much high end, we'll go in, maybe open up that. And this is as we're progressing again further through the track, so we're sort of you'd want to build up the energy in your drums as, maybe more elements are sort of coming in. And what's our last lick doing? I think that might be a bit I think we'll leave that one. I think it probably is a step too far.
Yeah.
So, and then let's see if we can group all these together. Sometimes it won't let you group if you've already got groups in your track, which is a shame. I don't know.
So would you have to ungroup and then regroup?
Yeah, you've got two options there. You can either ungroup these, So we can ungroup tracks, and then we can sort of bring it all together. It just means we'd have to apply the EQ individually to these. But other than that, there's nothing, you know, we didn't put any compression on, so there's nothing really else that it's... And then I like to put on sometimes this the 1976 compressor with the attack down, just right at the top end, and just bring it so it's like taking a tiny bit of attack off everything together,
right,
or something. I think it is a gel process, you know, where you want everything to sort of just.
It sounds slightly counterintuitive to go right out, and now I want to take the attack off the kicks and
yeah.
Does it lessen the punch in your drums?
I don't think you're taking the attack off as so much just the attacks become one or something.
Okay,
for me,
right.
And it's very, very, very subtle. So
you can hear it's a real gel.
It's a definite gel. So if I take the makeup gain off maybe here, let me just sort of bring and it helps as well to just overall
suppress everything,
suppress the levels. Yeah, so you get a bit more volume out of it as well.
I mean, I think they're in 15 minutes. You've got a really interesting drum pattern going, you know.
Yeah, nice and proggy and
yeah.
Yep. So there you go. There's a quick prog beat. Yeah. So we'll move on in the next video to, or should we do a live one? Do you want to do it? I suppose we use some of the live elements.
Yeah, we use some of the live elements. I think the next one we look at the all-encompassing trance.
Trance. Okay. Catch us in 5.
Sonic Academy is proud to present Ultimate Drums Progressive, the tool every producer should have. Ultimate Drums Progressive is a massive collection of single drum sounds, loops and kicks, all meticulously reverse engineered from the best sounding tracks in the genre. This sample pack truly excels in sound quality and variety, with sounds and loops to kickstart that massive dance floor destroyer. Choose from hundreds of kicks, claps, snares and percussion, all bundled with over 100 loops in AIFF, Rex and Apple Loops format. Also included are pre-made kits in Ableton's drum racks, Logic's Ultrabeat and EXS24. This truly is the ultimate in drums. So download today and become that next level producer at sonicacademy.com.